So, today we're putting a super popular medical drama under the microscope. It's a show that really prides itself on realism, but when it took on a teen pregnancy crisis, well, a real life OBGYN had a lot to say about it. All right, let's get into this breakdown of what happens when a TV script meets the hard reality of an examination room.
You see, the show we're looking at has built this serious reputation. It's been praised everywhere, and as our source material points out, it's been touted as the most accurate medical TV show ever made. I mean, that is an incredibly high bar to set, which makes any little mistake or inaccuracy all the more interesting to look at.
And that brings us right to our big question. The episode we're digging into deals with one of the most complex, most sensitive topics in all of medicine: abortion care. So how does this highly rated, super accurate drama actually handle the clinical, the ethical, and just the human realities of the situation? Let's find out. Okay, so first up, we're going to tackle the purely medical side of things. We're going to compare the procedures and the patient counseling we see on screen to what our source, a practicing doctor, says actually goes down in the clinic. And right away, we hit our first little problem. In the show, the doctor does this quick ultrasound right over the belly, but as our source points out, for a really early pregnancy, especially around 6 to 8 weeks, that's probably not going to cut it. In the real world, you often need a more precise transvaginal scan to get an accurate measurement. It might seem like a small detail, but for clinical accuracy, it's a crucial one. Now, what's really interesting here is the context around the actual medicines involved. The process uses two drugs, mifepristone and misoprostol. But here's the key thing, and the doctor in our source material really wants us to get this. These aren't just for abortions. They are the exact same essential medications used to safely manage miscarriages, which can help patients avoid having to get surgery. Okay, this one is a big one. When the TV doctor is counseling the patient, she says to expect some cramping, like when you're on your period. The real doctor watching this, she calls it bad counseling. And to be honest, a lie. See, at almost 11 weeks, this process is going to be way more painful than your typical period cramps. Proper medical care would mean a prescription for actual pain medication. Downplaying this isn't just inaccurate, it's a huge disservice to the patient. So now, let's shift gears and get into the real heart of the episode's conflict, because this isn't just about medical procedures anymore. It's about that messy place where medicine crashes right into the hard lines drawn by the law. The entire drama, all of it, hinges on this one number. In the show's fictional state, there is a super strict, state-mandated cutoff for a medication abortion at exactly 11 weeks, not a single day over. And that sets the stage for a massive problem. And this timeline just lays out the crisis perfectly. One day, a doctor measures the pregnancy at 10 weeks and 5 days. Okay, safely under the limit. But then the very next day, a different doctor measures it at 11 weeks and 2 days, just over the limit. So how is that even possible? Well, our source confirms that even with the best equipment and the best training, first trimester ultrasounds have a 3 to 5 day margin of error. And just like that, a standard medical variable becomes a legal nightmare. And that is the question that just hangs in the air, taking this whole thing from a medical issue to a huge ethical one. The suggestion is that maybe, just maybe, the first doctor fudged the numbers a bit, aimed for a smaller measurement to stay within that legal window and help his patient. The response from the senior doctor is just stunning. Instead of dealing with the ethics of the situation, she basically suggests committing fraud. Go back in and pick an angle that shows 11 weeks or less. I mean, just get the right number. Our source doctor was pretty alarmed by this, saying that while she gets the incredible pressure these laws create, this is a seriously dangerous and unethical thing to suggest. Thankfully, the resident doctor draws a hard line in the sand. She refuses, pointing out the obvious. This is flat out illegal. And for her, as a doctor who's still in training, the professional risk is enormous. She could get kicked out of her program. It really highlights how the stakes are totally different and way higher, depending on where you are in your career. All right, let's step away from the medical charts and the legal talk for a minute and look at the human side of all this. This is where the show and our source's reaction really dives into the deep emotional stakes for everyone involved. So, to ground this TV drama in some hard facts, our source brings up something called the Turnaway Study. And this is a huge deal. It's a landmark piece of research that didn't just guess what happens. It actually collected data for years on the real-world consequences for women who were turned away from abortion care. So what did this massive study find? Well, When women were denied a wanted abortion, the outcomes were pretty much universally worse. We're talking worse financial situations for the whole family, negative impacts on the other children they already had, and even more health complications for the mother. The study's really powerful conclusion is that more often than not, patients themselves are the best judge of what they and their families actually need. And just when you think it can't get any more complicated, the show throws in his other deeply personal layer. The resident doctor, the one navigating this whole ethical minefield, has just recently had a miscarriage of her own. So for her, this isn't just some clinical case anymore. It is intensely personal. Our source doctor really praised this part of the show, explaining that this is a very real, often invisible difficulty for people in healthcare. They frequently have to manage their own grief and personal struggles while taking care of patients. As she puts it, you have to learn how to hold space for both these things, the joy of a wanted pregnancy and the sadness of an unwanted one, or even the grief from your own loss. And finally, the show does something really important. It connects its fictional drama to a harsh, widespread reality in America. We find out the teen patient doesn't even live in the state where the hospital is. She and her aunt had to drive all the way from Tennessee just to find a clinic where she could legally get care. And that journey, that is something thousands of people are forced to make every single year. So after all of this, after looking at the medical slip-ups, the razor-thin legal lines, and the very real human costs, we're left with this question. The show got some things right, for sure, but it also got some things wrong. And it really makes you think. When our popular culture misrepresents the realities of healthcare, whether it's downplaying pain or dramatizing ethical breaches, who is it that ultimately pays the price for that misinformation in the real world?